Hello, friends, old and new. I'm John Miller, founding attorney at Rock Solid Law. I've been practicing since the mid 80s, which is some years after that song came out. That came out when I was either in high school or college. And candidly, the Babies are not a band I probably ever would have thought about again, except that in my estate planning practice, so many people come to me and say, "Oh, I've waited so many years to do my estate plan." And so somehow the song "Isn't It Time" came into my mind. Um, and so I have thought about the Babies and John Waite once again. John Waite did go on to have some big hits in the 80s. Interestingly, the pandemic has meant that many people have come to us, it having occurred to them that it might be time for them to do their estate planning documents, their will-based or trust-based plan. And so the song "Isn't It Time" occurred to me as a foundation for this month's trust webinar. And I'm reminded of a quote that is, "There is a thread for each of us in fate's tapestry, a thread whose length is unknown even to the gods." You see, the ancient Greeks believed that there were three blind old ladies with shears, like giant scissors, and the tapestry of all of life went by them, and at random intervals, they would execute a cut in the fabric of life. And each of us who live have a thread in that fabric of life, and it was thought to be that was how the randomness of the ending of life occurred. So even the gods did not know when those blind old ladies would take that action. So time, I've thought often about time in my life. It's really our most valuable commodity. And it's the one that we certainly don't know how much we've been gifted. So we want to make the absolute most out of our time in this realm. And we also want to make the most about what happens to our things after our time has run. So that is the subject of estate planning. That is the area of the law that is devised to assist you in implementing your personal family values through an estate plan, a series of documents which take care of you the remainder of your life and then take care of those you love. Now, I've been doing this a minute, and people are always talking about estate planning as if it's about death, as if it's about a will, a last will and testament, as if it's about a trust, a revocable living trust, or any one of a number of other trusts, or about a living will, which is a directive to a physician regarding your last illness, or any number of other things. It's not. It's just plain not. Estate planning is about writing the story of your life with an emphasis on what your values and goals are. Estate planning is about writing the story of your life with an emphasis on what your values and goals are. To look at it those previous ways is like looking at a beautiful race car, beautiful car, and wondering where the bolts were made, or looking at a masterpiece painting, a Van Gogh, and wondering where he bought the paint or the brand name of the paint. Completely misses the point. So listen up. Isn't it time? Don't feel bad that you may have waited a long time to get around to doing your estate plan. You know, there's an old story about the cobbler's children who have no shoes, right? And it's because the cobbler takes care of everybody else first, and he never quite gets around to making shoes for his own children. Well, guess what? I'm an estate planning lawyer, and by the time that we had our first child, we had no estate plan in place. And thank goodness my wife nudged me regularly to the point where I finally got around to doing our wills, etc. Right? And so, hooray, I got that done. Well, a few years later, We were blessed with the birth of our second child, a son to go with our daughter. And once again, the nudging began. When are you going to update that plan? Well, 2 years later, I finally got around to amending it, which is quite a simple task, by the way. And for those 2 years, I like to say that my son, the carrier of my family name, the scion of my family tree, the fruit of my loins, the mini me, was mentioned in our estate planning as, quote, all afterborn children. Not a great designation, right? So the point is that I procrastinated a couple of years there before getting the estate planning revised to include Ian, right? So don't feel bad. You're in good company. One of the things I ask for those of you participating with us the first time is that everything here be under a code of silence. I'm happy to answer questions at the end, but if you prefer, you may contact me offline for questions which are more specific to you. So I just mentioned having our daughter and our son, and I had them kind of later in life than most people do. Don't get me wrong, I intend for the last third of my and our life to be amazing. But what I really care about is leaving our children better off than we were. So it's not for me to decide what you care about, whether it's children, whether it's a charity, whatever else. But I have found over the life of my practice that most people care about something. Most people care about something bigger than themselves. And I'm here to help you make what you care about a reality for the future of your family. A reality for the future of your family. This process is about writing the chapters of your heroic life's journey. So you will be celebrated after you're gone, not fought over. There are two distinct stories that I hear repetitively. One is the family who has planned well and who celebrates an individual after they have spent their time on this mortal coil or in this mortal coil. And the other is the family who didn't plan, and as soon as the patriarch or matriarch is gone, the feuding begins. And the stories of that feuding will pass across generations and through an awful lot of cousins, grandchildren, up and down the family tree. People jump to the front of the room after I'm able to do a live workshop to tell me the story of what their uncle did to their dad or something like that. So we avoid that. All right, so estate planning can be about your heirs. Estate planning can be about your legacy. Most of us care about something that's bigger than ourselves. Whatever that thing is, that's what we like to focus on. We want to tell your story based on your values, which we here at Rock Solid Law call showing your love to those you treasure. That's what my wife and I have done for our chillin'. We're going to say boogie chillin' when we're done. John Lee Hooker quote. Yes, I met John Lee Hooker and got to hang out with him. He had a Coca-Cola. I was drinking a beer. So we're going to say boogie chillin', and we're going to try to set them on their way, set up for the remainder of their lives. Estate planning is absolutely about keeping all or as much as possible of what you have earned to share with whoever and or whatever you want. It's also about deciding whether you want to pay mandatory taxes or whether you choose to pay voluntary taxes as well. It's about maximizing your prosperity during your life. And yes, it's about how you will share your love and your life's abundance with those you treasure. It's not up to me who you treasure, but I help you in the how you treasure. Your sharing will be done how you want and when you want through a proper plan, all at the least expense possible. We're also going to avoid unintentional disinheritance. Since we had a rock song carry us into this from that era, I have a quick story that was not my client, but one of my collaborators' clients. A family where there was a couple who lived a long life, had a son, and unfortunately, the son suffered a sports-related head injury. He was able to lead a life, but he was no longer able to care for himself. And so the couple set up an estate plan in order to take care of that guy. Well, sadly, one of the partners, after a lot of years together, passed on. And after an appropriate period of mourning, the other partner remarried. And that partner, the new spouse, had a daughter. And that daughter was married to a rock star from the 70s, one who made it big. You'd know the name if I were able to tell you, I promise you. And that rock star was practiced infidelity and basically ran off with a model and divorced the daughter, the stepdaughter now of the surviving spouse. Stepdaughter had a good lawyer, so she got millions in the divorce, set for life, right? Rock star and model go off into the sunset. Stepdaughter is set for life. And the original surviving spouse that we started the story with then passed away. Now, unfortunately, when that spouse's second spouse passed, the entire inheritance went to the millionaire divorcee stepdaughter, and none of it went to the brain injured son. All that they had worked for was unintentionally given to the stepdaughter because they didn't plan well. That's what we call unintentional disinheritance. Nobody intended for that to happen, but that young man did not have the inheritance that had been intended for him by his parents. Estate planning is also about asset protection. We will protect you from lawsuits, liens, and judgments, and protect you against your future son-in-law. It's a funny story. Another colleague had a client who said, "I hate my son-in-law," and he says, but your daughter is only 7. She says, "I hate him already." So we make sure that that money is locked down so that one bad marriage doesn't disinherit your child. Why is this important? Because studies show that families go from rags to riches to rags in 3, maybe 4 generations. Isn't that incredible? Except for the families that plan multi-generationally. You ever heard that before? It's kind of a little scary. Here's another one for you. A sad fact is that in America, 80% of people go through probate. Probate is a lawsuit. Probate puts a judge, who was probably a political appointee, in charge of your estate. So what 8 out of 10 people that you know have is that their estate is going through probate, and all things considered, their estate will, on average, have a shrinkage of 60%. Isn't that incredible? Our goal is to help you avoid that and to strengthen your family tree. For those of you who have done nothing or who have a will-based plan, your first problem is that nothing has been done to avoid or alleviate any of the unnecessary and excessive cost, delay, and publicity of a probate lawsuit. Yeah, publicity. Your affairs are on record at the courthouse, and folks can go look at them. Additionally, for your consideration, I consider that there are 2 tax codes in this country, one for the informed and one for the, you got it, uninformed. So especially at this time when we're about to have a transition in government, if you have qualified retirement plans, really important to have that looked at before the end of the year, because there will likely be a plan adopted next year that will increase taxes on those plans. That can be avoided in the next 40 days. So something to consider. Certainly anybody that has 6 figures in a retirement account needs to have an analysis of what they can do. Bottom line, you've got to fight for your family. Nobody else is going to do it, right? You got to fight for yourself, because estate planning, as I said at the very beginning of this session, is about how you will be taken care of throughout the rest of your life. And you got to fight for what you value. Again, I don't care. I love what my clients value. Don't get me wrong. It's really fun to know what different families really care about. It's cool stuff, right? But it's not up to me. It's up to you. Whatever you care about is what we will put in your plan. So, quick question. And we're coming around the bend toward the end. I'm going to keep it in my usual time parameters. Would it be important to you to preserve what you've earned and to pass it to whomever you choose? I think we all know the answer to that, right? There's only one way to do it. You got to do an estate plan. You can do it with us. You can do it with somebody else. 80% of Americans either have no plan at all or a really, really old one they did when the kids were first born. So we either need to get a plan in place or update that old one. We have an array of tools, methodologies, and devices to help you achieve your goals. What those are is beyond the scope of this quick presentation. But I want to talk just a moment now about myself. I founded this firm in 1991, and we do only 3 things: estate planning, which includes probate when necessary. You can tell I don't like that. I'm a probate avoidance device. Real estate, closings, title, escrow, refinances, sales, commercial, residential, everything in the real estate arena. And then I represent entrepreneurial small business owners in their transactions and in their contracts. Those are the 3 things we do. That's it. And so the coolest thing has happened. About a year ago, I was invited in to become a member of a small national collaborative team, which is arguably unsurpassed in estate planning excellence. I can grin about that and say that because it's not about me. I bring my skills to the table, but I am now aligned with some truly superior attorneys. In fact, the clientele of this group goes from mom and pops all the way up to a former president of the United States of America. I think that if we can plan for him, that we can plan for you. Our team helps you earn your money, keep your money, and share your money when and how you want. One option which might be available to you is our objective opportunity analysis. The cool thing about this is it takes what you have and figures out the best ways you could move things around to have the best tax consequences and the best benefits, not only for you, but for your heirs. And the really cool thing about it is it's completely objective, because most of the things it recommends are not things that we do. They're not lawyer things, they're money management things. So, of course, there may be some document drafting, which we would hope you would choose to do with us, but if not, that's okay too. Very valuable analysis. Please tell your friends. Anybody, literally anyone that has 6+ figures in qualified retirement accounts right now, really ought to look at that before January 1st. Because even though we're not going to have our new president until later in January, and new laws can be passed after that, of course, depending on the runoff in South Carolina especially, but those laws could be retroactive to January 1st. So there's a real opportunity now Any taxes that are unnecessarily paid after that time, I consider them totally voluntary. And I will say I told you so. And it's on tape. It's on recording. So time, isn't it time? Time, our most valuable commodity. Time, the one commodity we don't know how much of it we have. We can look at the balance in our bank account and know how much money we have. And we all spend all this time earning money for comfort, but we never know. We never know when those three blind old ladies are going to snip their shears and our time in this realm is over. So once again, I love that quote. I've carried this quote around in my briefcase for over 20 years. I'm like that. I got a whole page of them. But the one I want to share again with you is there's a thread for each of us in fate's tapestry. A thread whose length is unknown even to the gods. Our plans, and especially our failed plans, are evidence of the essential role that imagination plays in the life of the soul. Plans teach us that we rarely, if ever, know what we're doing or what small action is going to matter to the soul. There's a thread for each of us in fate's tapestry, a thread whose length is unknown even to the gods. We never know when our last breath is coming. Yeah, our failed plans are important, but we need to make plans for ourselves and for those we love. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I appreciate the time that you spend with me. I know your time is valuable. And I would like to offer, because you have spent this time with me, that if you will make an appointment before the end of the day tomorrow, that's Friday at 5 o'clock, I'll waive the $425 fee. You don't have to come in before then, but you've got to make the appointment by then. I'm queuing up John Waite and the Babies. Isn't it time? I'm John Miller, Rock Solid Law. Thanks for being with us today.